And
Uh-huh.
how do you think that they would have, handled social media? Would Marcus Aurelius be a Twitter troll?
I think he would have used social media. Because like I said earlier, it's not what you do, it's the way that you do it in Stoicism. So he would have said, it's part of my job as emperor. Let me explain. Marcus Aurelius spent decades of his life studying Greek and Latin rhetoric under some of the leading teachers of his day. He didn't do that just for kicks. He did it because a big part of his job was writing and delivering speeches and letters and making public pronouncements. And so he was trained for that. I guess you could say he kind of had PR, like media training and stuff in his day. He was a Roman emperor. It was a big deal back in the day. So he trained for decades. And that's why his book is so good. People massively underestimate how good a writer Marcus Aurelius actually is, because it's just a bunch of aphorisms. And it's written in a very casual, informal way. But he's a very talented writer of aphorisms. And his speeches, which we don't have, really, we don't have many examples of, were reputedly very well written as well. He'd be on Twitter, he'd be giving speeches and things like that. It's part of the communication that the job would have required. But he wouldn't have kind of got too wrapped up in it or over attached to it. So, one of the things that the Stoics say is that we have to learn to be impervious to criticism from other people. You have to learn from it, but not be upset by it. One of my favorite quotes is from Antisthenes, who's a friend of Socrates. He's kind of the precursor or the founder of the Cynic school. And Marcus Aurelius quotes him. And he said, "'Tis kingly to do good and yet be spoken of ill." And what that means is that true wisdom, true virtue, this inner kingliness, having the soul of a king, consists in the ability to do the right thing even though everybody's opposing you, to do good and yet be spoken of ill, carry on regardless, right? That's what true kingliness consists in. And that would be Marcus Aurelius in social media. He'd be like, I have to use this for my job, but even if people are trolling me or abusing me or stuff like that, I have to learn to kind of take that in my stride. That's what Stoic temperance is about in part, dealing with other people and their crazy BS. Marcus says every morning when you wake up, tell yourself you're going to beat meddling, treacherous, devious, deceitful people. And he prepares himself in advance to cope with that and deal with it rationally and wisely and virtuously. Learn to take it in your stride. There's different levels at which we can approach these things in terms of techniques, but at the deepest level is just your fundamental attitude towards what you're facing. And so the Stoics would say, when you're dealing with all the garbage in the internet, you need to reframe the whole thing and view it as like a training exercise. View it as if the person that's trolling you is like a kind of sparring partner, and they're there to teach you to develop patience, integrity, strength of character, magnanimity, and either, if you take on somebody that's going to just pummel you into the ground, maybe you're not going to learn from it. You have to learn to kind of pick your fights and stuff. Maybe there's some people you're better off ignoring and walking away from. But then there's other people you should view as an opportunity to develop, your own strength of character. Marcus Aurelius says the best revenge is to be unlike your adversary. So really it's an opportunity to be the opposite of them. When angry people, anger is contagious. Anger escalates. Angry people breathe like rabbits. One angry person makes up two other angry people, and then it just proliferates. So you have to be the one that kind of breaks the cycle. They win if they make you angry and you lose your temper with them and you get sucked into it. They're cloning themselves. They're turning you into one of them if you just rise to it. You need to snap out of the trance and do the opposite. And that's hard, but the Stoics think that's how we need to view the whole thing. It's a training opportunity. Or they say almost like another way of looking at it is like when somebody goes online and they tell you that they think you're an idiot or whatever, or they say something rude about your mum or whatever, the Stoics say view it like a prescription, like it's medicine. like, and you have to learn how to take this bitter medicine in order to be strengthened by it, you know, like, and not kind of like, you know, spitting it out, succumbing to it. Like, there's a way, everything is two handles. There's a way of taking the insult where you actually become stronger. Like, if you kind of rise to the challenge rather than just allowing it to upset you, then you've lost. Like, that's a sign of weakness. Marcus says getting anger is a moral weakness in Stoicism.